Major AFC West matchup here in Week 12 as the Kansas City Chiefs fly to Vegas to take on Davante Adams and the Las Vegas Raiders. Great matchup here is going on. Raiders kind of have a resurgence now after firing Josh McDaniels, and the Chiefs are still the Kansas City Chiefs. They had a tough loss against the Philadelphia Eagles tonight. I will say we're recording this Monday night after the game, but it's in at 7-3 now, number 2 seed in the AFC so far. While the Raiders, let me double check exactly where they're at. They're at 5-6 on the outside looking in, and they have a bye coming up in Week 13 as well. So they have one less game even to play to try and help out their chances to make the playoffs. So even greater, I guess, cause for panic for the Raiders here. Like this has to be a must-win game against the Kansas City Chiefs. I want to throw it over to you here. I feel like we know what the Chiefs need to do to win. We know what they're going to do to win. What do the Raiders have to do?
So one of the big things is this Chiefs offense, I think, is not as potent as it has been. Through no fault of Andy Reid or Patrick Mahomes, they lead the NFL in drops with 26, I believe, after that MVS drop on Monday Night Football. And Travis Kelce hasn't been quite as explosive as he has in years past. I think he's 35 now. They're just not quite the same, and I just don't think they have the weapons on the outside to really be like one of the top 5 offenses in the league. And so if the Raiders are going to come in and win, they got to get after Pat Mahomes early and stuff the run. They have to be really stout up front, and then they got to make plays on the offensive side of the ball. So their last, 5 games that I can see right here, 13, 16, they put up 30 against the Giants, but then it was 14 and 12. And it's just like those are not winning numbers in the NFL. You have to put up more points than that. So for me, that's going to be the big thing is they have to get after Pat Mahomes and stop the run and then make big plays on the offensive side of the ball. Because if they try to get into this battle of attrition, then eventually Patrick Mahomes is going to have a big play, and then that'll be the game. So,
yeah, no, and that's that was one of the reasons why McDaniels got fired, and then now we're seeing it. And I'm even trying to double check. So Garoppolo is not even hurt. Aiden O'Connell is now just the guy.
He's just the guy. The starter. Yeah.
So, and I think that's just going to be where I think they're testing out to see if there's any opportunity for him to potentially be the guy next year. But at the same time, I also feel like he does give them the best opportunity to succeed. Because I think also, too, if you maybe look in the locker room, Garoppolo was Josh McDaniels' guy, back then, and had this relationship. So I don't know what's going on in the locker room. But maybe that's why he's like, hey, let's just do a complete change and shift. This young kid, I think, brings some excitement here. Maybe a little bit more opportunity to throw the ball through the air with how explosive Davante Adams still is. Jacoby Myers, I think, has been playing well. Michael Mayer, their rookie tight end, also has been playing decently well over these past couple of weeks. So I think really just trying to get a feel for what potentially they might have for next year, but at the same time give themselves the best chance for this year. I agree with you in that they're going to need to be opportunistic throwing the ball through the air, but it's going to be tough against this Chiefs defense overall.
Yeah.
Chiefs defense, and now these stats are not. Unfortunately, Pro Football Reference hasn't updated from tonight's game against Philadelphia, and so I haven't done the math yet in my head. But Kansas City is on the better side of the run defense overall, and then when it comes to then the passing game, one of the top passing defenses so far in the league here, being top 5, top 6. And sorry, once again, stats are not updated here, but that to me, I think, is going to be one of the big challenges for this Las Vegas Raiders team offensively, is how they're going to be able to go up against this Kansas City Chiefs defense, which is one of the best that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes has had during their tenure together here. The Chiefs defense is leading the team in leading the league in overall pressures per play at 28.2%, and the overall sacks are at 31, which is top 10 in the league so far as well. If you go look at the Raiders offense, which might be somewhat skewed just with the type of quarterbacks that they've had out there, where they ranked. They've been sacked 27 times so far this season. So just matchup wise, and also too on top of that, shockingly, they're one of the worst run offenses in the league. compared
after
to last year
being
with the best last year with Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
So I just feel this Raiders offense, it's going to be an interesting matchup going up against the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Now, on the flip side, I agree with you that skill position players are not as great against for Kansas City this year, but it's still Patrick Mahomes, still this Andy Reid offense. I think Travis Kelce has been battling some ankle injuries. He started out with, then the knee, and then he got the low ankle sprain against Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So I think he's been battling with that a little bit. But still, to your point, though, you're a professional football player, or players just in general, not talking about Kelce anymore. You need to be able to catch the ball. It's like you should be having 26 drops. I mean, shoot, they played 10 games. It's 2.5 drops per game. That's insane. So, that being said, though, I still feel like this offensive system is still one of the best. And with Patrick Mahomes leading the way, it was a tough environment. I think this Monday night it was raining a bunch, so maybe that had a little bit to do like on the overall offensive effectiveness for both the Eagles and Chiefs. But I still feel like they could exploit this Raiders defense, which is actually one of which has improved overall. I would say they're middle of the road passing defense wise, and then rushing defense they do give up a lot of rushing yards. But Kansas City doesn't run the ball statistically nearly as well. I feel like that's going to be the game plan for them coming into this Sunday's game. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a lot closer, I feel like, than typical like Chiefs divisional rival games. But in general, though, I think it's going to be a very unique one with major playoff implications on the line for both teams.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into our predictions here. But before we do that, if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It is the best way to help out the channel. And Tyler and I are trying to get to 2,100 subscribers before Thanksgiving. And with that being said, Tyler, who do you have coming out ahead in this matchup? I think I already know, but go ahead.
Yeah, I am going to go with Mahomes, going to go with Kansas City Chiefs. I think Aiden O'Connell is going to have a tough time against this Chiefs defense. And that's where I think it's interesting on why the Chiefs don't need to have that explosive offensive player like how we're used to seeing them have, and just having this explosive offense. I think they can lean on their defense a little bit more than originally expected. And what's crazy, too, is this defense is young. So imagine how.
And their linebackers are injured.
Yeah. So imagine then, too, after this 2024 draft, which is going to be a good receiver class, there's going to be some guys, no matter where the Chiefs are at in that first round and second round, that they could draft and come in immediately and start, who I think would compete for a lot of playing time. That'd just be scary to think, even if this offense does get better, when it does get better, this defense is young. So it's going to be very scary, I think, for these teams over these next couple of years. And with the Raiders, I think they're in I think they're enjoying football this year for the first time, but I just think they're still going to be a little outmatched, and I don't think they're going to have a quarterback. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how O'Connell plays. It's going to be interesting to see what the Raiders do in this offseason, depending on where they end up in the draft. Do they trade up and go and get someone like Caleb Williams, who I think would be phenomenal in this offensive system? So with these offensive pieces around him. So who do you think is going to win this game?
I'm going to go with the Chiefs as well. I just think this defense is going to create opportunities for this Chiefs offense. And playing in a dome, weather won't be a factor. I also just think Mahomes has very, very rarely, if ever, loses in division games. It just doesn't happen. So
he definitely has a good record. I'll just say that.
A
good divisional record.
So I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think they're just the better team, and they'll bounce back after a tough loss on Monday night. So we're both going with the Chiefs. Let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. And leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this AFC West matchup. Is it going to be the Kansas City Chiefs? Is it going to be the Las Vegas Raiders? Other than that, we will see you guys next time.